Hello and welcome to this video on Edgar Allan Poe. So I've committed one of the cardinal sins of video making in that I've just got up and I'm not shaven and probably I'm not presenting a good view to the world, and obviously these things matter. Look at news presentators and so on, they don't go on with stubble and so forth. But anyway, sorry about that if it puts you off. Anyway, Edgar Allan Poe was a writer from the 19th century who I think his own appearance didn't always really matter to him. He was an alcoholic with various problems, often found in a gutter. It's quite surprising, and yet in his mind at least he represents that 19th century tradition of the kind of the gentleman, the aristocratic southern gentleman who lived on these huge plantations and was able to devote themselves to the higher things in life thanks to having, numerous slaves at your disposal to pick cotton for you. He was quite racist and anti-democratic. And yet the irony is, and an irony he well knew, was that he was fallen from this noble sphere. He had to work for a living as an editor and selling his stories and poems to the public, to the reading public, this mob who he disdained. Often he was living hand to mouth and desperately trying to sell these stories and win competitions. And there's a kind of neurosis in his writing. His words are often overworked and overworked. Another problem with him is his themes. It seems likely that he, while he wrote in the Gothic tradition, which is concerned with the more darker side of life, he probably drew on a certain amount of his own experience, his own inner turmoil. He's quite similar to, I can't remember his name now, so he's quite similar to someone anyway. But all that aside, and there is quite a lot to put aside, he's a writer of genius. And I'd like to read a few bit of his poem, The Raven, which goes something like this. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of half-forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, for it was in the bleak November, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I'd sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for that rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustlings of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. And so now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, why, 'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Presently my heart grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, said I, oh madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. For in fact I was nearly napping, and so faintly you came tapping, so gently came rapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure that I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dreamed before. But the silence gave no token, and the stillness gave no token of, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore? And my echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Back into that chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely that is someone at my window lattice. Let me go see what they're at us and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment and this mystery explore. Open then I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven from the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a moment stopped nor stayed he, but with mien of lord and lady, perched upon a sculptured bust of Pallas there above my chamber door. Perched and sat and nothing more. Yeah, so that's The Raven. He's got a really good volume of poetry. It's kind of, well, it's decadent poetry, really. Escapist, symbolist poetry. But beautiful, you don't have to take it too seriously. His writings, too, are a bit disturbing, but good entertainment. Edgar Allan Poe. Give him a go.